Welcome to the deep dive. So you're here because you want your Tamiya monster truck, the
Yeah.
Lunchbox, Midnight Pumpkin, Blackfoot, maybe even a Kong head, to handle a bit less like it wants to roll over every time you turn.
Yeah. Less auditioning for the rollover circus, more actual driving.
Exactly. You sent us tons of info, and our mission today is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Get you the key knowledge to make your Tamiya truck drive better. No drowning in tech jargon, just the practical stuff.
For sure. I mean, these trucks are icons for a reason. They're loads of fun. But let's be honest, that high center of gravity, the COG, it makes for some exciting moments. Not always intentional ones, though.
Right, those classic wheelies that just keep going,
Okay.
or corners that end up with wheels pointing at the sky.
That's the one. So COG is just the truck's balance point. High up, it's tippy. Lower down, it's more stable.
Think of it like standing tall versus crouching down, maybe. Harder to push someone over when they're low. Same idea for our RCs.
Pretty much, yeah. And what's interesting is, Tamiya's design thinking, they often go for the fun factor, the looks, the wheelies, simple build.
Which often means higher ride height, right? That monster truck look.
Exactly. Take the CW01 chassis, the Lunchbox or Pumpkin, that boxy frame, battery slung underneath, it all pushes that COG upwards.
Okay, so we're mainly looking at a few chassis today.
Yeah, the main ones. The CW01, like we said, with its simple suspension. Then there's the WT01, a bit more modern. The GF01, that sort of square 4WD platform. And the G601, the six-wheeler.
Got it. Let's start with the CW's01. Seems like everyone has one or wants one.
Definitely super popular. And honestly, the single biggest handling improvement you can usually make is getting that battery lower.
How low are we talking?
Well, the most drastic way is the inside the tub mod. It involves moving suspension mounts, the gearbox mounts, basically fitting the battery inside the main chassis tub itself.
Whoa, okay. Sounds like major surgery.
It kind of is. And you absolutely need smaller, like LiPo batteries to make it fit. But wow, the difference in COG and stability, it's huge.
Right. But what if someone wants something less involved?
Well, there are aftermarket battery holders, often aluminum, nice and durable, good for lipos, but they usually keep the battery in the stock spot high up.
So better battery security, maybe easier LiPo use, but not really lowering the COG much.
Exactly. It solves some problems, but not the main COG one.
Okay, so battery low, big win. What about that CW's01 suspension? It's famously basic.
Oh, it is. That front swing axle setup.
Yeah.
You get bump steer the wheels turning when the suspension moves and the camber angle goes all over the place. Not great for grip.
So what's the fix?
Aftermarket double wishbone conversions are the way to go for the front. Companies like Ampro Engineering, Team CRP, they offer kits that give you proper suspension geometry, much more predictable.
And shocks. Those friction things are pretty bouncy.
Oh yeah, ditch the friction dampers. Tamiya's own CVA oil shocks, that cylinder valve adjustable, are a massive upgrade. Just having proper damping makes a world of difference.
Okay. What about the rear end? It kind of slaps around, doesn't it?
It does. The gearbox pivots. The fifth shock mod helps basically adding an extra shock to control that movement. Or Ampro makes a transmission brace that does a similar job, stiffens things up.
So for the CW01,
Yeah.
lower the battery if you can. Definitely upgrade the front suspension. Get oil
Yeah.
shocks. Got it. What about just adding weight, like lead in the wheels?
Yeah, strategic weighting can help. Adding weight low down inside wheels. On the chassis front, it lowers the overall COG and can help keep the front end down, reduce wheelies.
But
Don't go crazy. Extra weight stresses the motor, the drivetrain, the suspension. It's a balancing act.
Any other quick CW01 tricks?
You can sometimes lower the body posts. Using wheels with more offset widens the track, makes it more stable. Oh, and flipping the wheelie bar can sometimes help prevent it digging in and causing flips. Small stuff, but it adds up.
Okay, cool. Let's shift gears. The WT01 Blackfoot 3 Bush Double Atecan. You said it's more stable already.
Yeah, generally. It's got a longer wheelbase, wider track inherently, so it's a better starting point. But oil shocks are still pretty much essential.
So similar principles apply. Suspension tuning,
Right.
weight.
Pretty much. You can play with different shock springs to control body roll. Adding weight low down still helps. Battery relocation is much trickier on that monocoque chassis, though. No easy tub mod there. Maybe upgrade the steering servo saver or mount for better precision.
Right. Okay, GF001, the 4WD wheelie machine. Heavy dump Land Cruiser.
Yeah, known for wheelies and traction rolls. Widening the track helps a lot. You can use parts from the GS01CB comical versions.
And again, oil shocks, I assume.
Absolutely. Essential. You can also tune the diffs. Thicker grease or putty slows the diff action, can reduce rolling over when you have lots of grip. Some people like a front one-way diff, helps with braking stability.
And just easier on the throttle.
Well, yeah. Throttle control is always key with these powerful little beasts. Battery relocation is tough here, too. Another monocoque.
Okay, last one. The G601. 6 wheels. Con head, king yellow. More stable.
More traction, definitely. But they can still traction roll surprisingly easily. Again, wider track helps. You can use WT001 suspension arms.
Suspension diff tuning. Same ideas as the GF01.
Largely, yeah.
Yeah.
Shared platform DNA there. One thing. Stick with two-wheel steering for stability. The optional four-wheel steering is cool, but it can make it pretty unpredictable at speed.
Makes sense. Battery relocation's still hard.
Yep, same monocoque challenge.
So across the board, it feels like the themes are get weight low, improve the suspension damping, and widen the stance if possible.
That's pretty much the trifecta, yeah.
We mentioned some brands, Ampro, CRP.
Right. Tamiya themselves offer hop-ups, of course. Amper's got really clever, often 3D printed solutions. Then you've got GPM. Yeah, racing, hot racing, doing lots of aluminum parts. Good for durability. Sometimes they improve geometry, too.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Key takeaway. Lowering that center of gravity is king for improving handling, reducing the tippiness.
Absolutely. How you do it best really depends on the specific chassis, though. Battery relocation is massive for the CW01, less feasible for others.
But better suspension, especially oil shocks and widening the track, those seem like pretty universal improvements.
Definitely good investments for almost any of these trucks. But remember, there are trade-offs, right? Dialing out all the wheelies might make it less lunchbox, you know.
True. Part of the charm sometimes.
Exactly. And think about batteries going energy. LiPo often saves weight and gives you more options for placement, which helps CoG. Plus, if you upgrade the motor, you really need to sort the handling. More power just highlights the flaws.
Good point. So a final thought for you listening, considering all this stuff, the trade-offs, the different trucks, what's the one change you'd prioritize first for your Tamiya monster truck? And what are you aiming for? Better cornering, smoother jumps, just fewer embarrassing flips? Something to think about next time you're wrenching. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.